Hello, everybody. Let me turn that up. How's everybody today? It is Monday, June 2nd. I just don't understand how time goes so fast. I just don't understand. I start thinking, oh, Christmas. Oh, well, this Christmas, we're not giving gifts. At least we're not. We're taking the family to Costa Rica at some point to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary. Yay! Super cool. So, off the hook on that. Okay. Hey, Paul, good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. All right. So, today, we're going to get started on the project. And where is it? Oh, it's hanging up over there. Let me get it. The fun is about to begin, but we're going to get started on this. We've all prepared the background. I would not sew the green on till I'm all done. All right, around this little edge here. Just don't worry about that. A couple of you asked, and that's just the order I did it in for whatever that's worth. I finished this, except it's not finished, so I have to figure out how I'm gonna finish it. But I put more beading on it and all that and added the lace. And one of the things that's dismaying me a little bit is that the fabric, which is watercolored, I'm pretty sure, is fading. And I don't know what I think about that. And how I know that is I picked up a little leaf somewhere and went, oh my gosh, well, it doesn't matter. What's going on here? Well, what's going on is it's fading. So maybe I should have used a commercial fabric because there's commercial fabrics that look like that, right? Okay, today is going to be a little bit of um, a double header. I want to show you something that I found in our store that I'd heard about, and then we'll get going. We're going to start cutting out shapes and all that good stuff, and hopefully, I can give you a couple tips to make the journey not painful because these first two steps are painful. That's all I'm going to say. All right, I what is this? I Uh-oh. Well, I'm not gonna do the overlays because for some reason what the heck? I was gonna show you guys a couple quilts, and I thought I put them in queue, but I didn't. How weird. Let me look here. Well, here, let me do this. That's what here's this one. Okay, this is from Kathy, and, she saw it on Instagram or Facebook, I forget what. And I think it's pretty clever for a stair installation, right? It's pretty clever. And I wonder if it exactly aligns with the steps. Probably not. Okay. So let's go. I can't believe I didn't do this. Okay, then Paula, first I got to send you this. Okay, let's put this up. Oh, not that one. This whole thing's going awry right now. Um, I got this from Paula. And it's a grief quilt. And I thought I really thanked her for sharing. And then I think she's putting it in a show. I'm not going to say which one. And it's about her losing her husband. And the deal is if you look at it, the top is when everything was whole and happy. And then when things just shattered when her husband passed. And it was Susan Cleveland going through her own thing that kind of helped her go through it. And so what's interesting is here we are as quilters, people we'll never meet, people we might meet, etc. And we're helping each other through numerous things. Okay, so you see the shattered, that's number two. And then number three, how she started to piece her life back together. And then number four, the bottom, her life is pieced together, but it will never be the same as the top, but at least it's looking like it's whole again. So I was really grateful that Paula said I could share it because I just think all of us of an age are all kind of going through the same things. And it's tough, man. It's tough. Okay. So, seam ripper. I who was it? Kristen saw this somewhere, Kristen who works with us, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, it seems hokey, but it's not." Let's get this down here. All right. So, I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. I have it up for when we deal with the pattern, and what it is, let me come on, little guy. Let's get in there. It's like an electric razor. It looks a lot like John's razor. And I suppose I could use John's razor, but there's probably oil and filth and dirt and grease. So this is your little seam ripper that you will use on your fabric and nothing else. Now, this is how I have always ripped out seams. Before I'm going to bring this down even more. Then we'll get it back up. There's a little bit of moving around today. Sorry, guys and gals. Okay, there we go. There we go. Let me turn that around. Okay. Again, here it is. All right. It's plastic, it's lightweight. Okay, back to this. In the olden days, when I ripped a seam, what I would do is first of all, you want a really sharp seam ripper. And this is a good one. It's the Alexanderson 4-in-1 tool. And the truth of it is, this is a Bernina seam ripper. They let us use it, and it's really sharp and wonderful. If you can't slide your seam ripper into your seams are too tight and or your seam ripper's too cheap. So you don't want to skimp on this. But what I'll do is I'll go pick, 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 and then I turn it over and I lift up the other side. Now, when I do hesitate to pick out seams is if I'm sewing biases together, I'll just throw it away. And I would say that's the same thing with this because chances are you're going to stretch it out. So I thought, okay, how do I do this? Well, what do you want? What do you do when you want to know how to do something? What is you go to YouTube. And I went to YouTube and I just had to smile because Jackie from the Stitching Post was demoing this. I go, great, Jackie. So this is how you use this. And it was funny because somebody the other day when we were on this live said, oh yeah, that thing's great. Kristen says, I thought it was hokey, but it's great. And Jackie thinks it's great. So here's your little seam ripper. All right. Sounds just like a razor. Like, let's say you put two sides together wrong, or you've sewn on a border and it's wrong. That's when the language of quilting comes into play. So what you do is you turn it on and you just start doing your thing. Now, Jackie said this. She said, it says you can't cut your fabric. But, yeah, I can, so don't be cuckoo about it. You can also do it with two hands. You know what I would probably do is I would probably put a pin in down here so I don't have to deal with that. And then just have at it. It takes an AA battery. Look at that, guys. The thread I'm using is the 80 weight that I always have on my bobbin and a 60 weight that I have on top. So, we have a couple in the store. I just kind of cool. And I was skeptical, and I know some other people were skeptical too, but no, not to worry. All right, let's all dig out our pattern. Now I got to put this back up. I've gotten a lot of questions about layout, etc. We already addressed last week that the backing was off a half an inch. No big deal. Nothing to lose sleep over. It's all going to be fine. All right. So when I look, oh, by the way, I got out some wools in order to demo this whole thing on, and I stumbled on these, and I'm like going, oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with these? I'm in love with you. That's what happens is I buy this stuff and then it gets, put away and whatever. All right. So Kristen created, this is like the bones of the pattern. And what you're going to have on some applique patterns, let me see. Don't lose that little pen. On some applique patterns, they'll come up here and go dot, 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 and you know that this is going to go underneath this circle. Well, I know that this is going to go underneath this no matter what. I know here that the stem is going to go underneath there no matter what. And here, just by looking at it, I know here that it's going to go under this one. So what I want you to do is think about building it from the back up. So I would more than likely start with the stems. The bottom stem is this one. Okay. So I'd put that one down first and make sure that there's extra up here. You might want to just mark it with a little friction or something like that so you know. Again, the placement, I was talking to Susan, well, to emailing. She goes, I don't want to mess up. Um, um, nice to use, but not for those sewing around you, too noisy. Oh my God, Iris goes, I could use this razor for my Persian cats. Okay, a squirrel just ran by. So I would probably do this one first. Now, guess what? You don't have to cut it on the bias. It will bend beautifully, all right? And then the next one I would do would be this one, okay? And then the next one I would do would be this one. Now, no, this has to slide under here. So just pay attention. Now, I think this is a 1/2 inch. I think it is. I don't think you really need, see if it's anything. Yeah, it's a 1/2 inch. So you don't need the template or anything. They are different colors and they've all been marked accordingly on your pattern over here, what you want. Now, when you start getting into the leaves and things like this, I have a couple recommendations. And as I say, I have a sample, and of course I can't find it. What I would do, well, you have two choices. You can use like your printer paper, and you can just trace through, okay, and then cut it out. Okay, you could use anything because this paper is not going to go anywhere. I would not cut up this pattern. Keep your pattern whole. Or I thought to myself, why not use freezer paper? Okay, so this is the dull size of the freezer paper. And then this shiny side, of course, has been ironed down to this. Now, the other thing I would do is I would probably put a 1 on here and a 1 on here because I kind of want to prepare a lot of them. All right. And then what I'll do is I'll get out my scissors. Oh, my scissors drawer. I have a fantastic scissors drawer. Find something I don't mind doing on paper. And then I'm going to cut it out. Like this. Now, if you're using just typing paper, oh my God, I just dated myself. Printer paper. You're going to want to pin it down for stability. And I've got these little itty bitty pins that are just freaking adorable. I would probably use these, but you can use any pins you want. But if you're using the freezer paper, you don't have to. I want to say that when I did the supply list, I was very cautious on not saying, well, you have to get this, you have to get this, you have to get this, because that could potentially become very, 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 very wasteful. But most quilters, unless you're in another country, have a ton of freezer paper. And that's like collateral in some countries. Okay, so there's that right there. Is it exactly right? No. Do I care? No. I will have already stitched down all the backings before I stitch this down. Here's the part that's going to make your brain explode. But trust me, it's what I recommend doing. When you've got the background all ready to go and it's time to start stitching, again, you've already done the lines. What I would do is now on the background, pin it down. Lovely little pins. Yay, 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 yay. Okay. Like that. I am going to stitch it invisibly on the background. I am not going to use any sort of fusible underneath this. I am not. And the reason I'm not is because on a lot of these um, things like this wool applique, you get layer and layer and layer of stitches, and the last thing you want is one more thing. So let's come down to have to stitch through. And that is, I've learned that from the pro Sue Spargo. I'm not going to argue with the pro, right? So this is why I keep pushing this thing, all right? This is 80 weight thread. And right here, I know I can stitch it down with, I think I chose, yeah, the one that's in the crooked. I think I chose this green. All right. I think I did. I know I did. All right. I don't think I would want to use invisible thread or anything like that, but here's the thread, 80 weight. I've put a little knot in the end. Yay. And then I am not going to use a hoop. Not interested in a hoop. With wool. With cottons, that's a whole other thing. Wow, I cut this thing too long. You want to cut it about 18 inches. Okay, I'm just going to take little stitches. And you can see how beautifully it just blends in. Oops. I'll look at questions in a few minutes, guys. I'm assuming you're putting some down. I don't know. And what you're going to end up doing is building the thing that you're going to be doing all the fun, wonderful stitches on. Let's see. I mean, you can barely see it. Mm. I'm going to catch the little tips too. Make sure I catch that. Get yourself a good TV show or good music, or perhaps just enjoy the water in the fountain outside of your space that you can hear. Very, very meditative. I'm going to go all the way around, come up here, and stop. You can see that this is not going to be a quilt in the day pattern. All right. So you're going to want to stitch it all down. Let me get this back up here. Sorry, I have to keep jerking you around, but I do. There. All right. So I wouldn't do the frog till the end. I don't know why, but I just wouldn't. And oh, I'd make an edit on the frog too. I realized when I was doing this that I forgot that the frog's eyeballs, and so I embroidered them on in here. But I probably would just cut out this green thing like this with the eyeballs. This little green frog, like right like that, and add that to it. But I forgot, and I thought, okay, so what? Who cares? Seeing is really all about relaxing, doing your own thing, etc. For the stitching down, I'm using these Bowen's Crewel. You can really use any needle you want, but I love this. I don't love it for applique. For fancy stitching, I am using it for applique for fancy stitching because the eyes are too small. Anyways, there that is. Okay, so you're just going to work your way around and do it all. You are going to have to pin it down at this point. Again, do not use fusible, or that is my recommendation. There will be other teachers um, that will, there are other teachers that will tell you to use fusible. Okay, I want to see what Carol has to say. As a Sue Spargo groupie, I use her Elena wool thread and whip stitch the wool to the background. Yes, you can do that, but I'm telling you, this stuff is just as good and way more cost effective. All right. Let me see. And then Susan Skill, did I stitch them down as I go? No, I'm going to prepare. Let me get me back on here. I am Miss Susan. I'm gonna prepare the whole thing, and then I'm ready to go, all right? I might like I said, I might skip the frog till the end. I might, whatever. Now, Susan, you asked something else I wanna talk about. Don't worry about everything being exactly placed. Please don't. But I do want to point out, and this surprised me when I saw the pattern, but not really, is that over here you have more space than over here. And that's because we've got all the the wish things coming out here. So this is off just a little bit, not a whole lot, but I know Susan was a little I think she a little not want to say nervous, that's too big of a word, but kind of like, whoo. Um, don't be. You can't go wrong here. You just can't go wrong. And Kathy, yes, the Quilter Select thread is the best because it's super, super strong, even though it's an 80 weight. I even use it for binding quilts. And oh, I prefer it over a 50 weight because it hides so beautifully. I mean, you could see that on here. Let me hold it up. You can see the little indentations where I stitched, but that's about it. Okay. Any other comments? I'm allergic to wool. Can this be done with cotton fabric? Yeah, Arta, you aren't the only one. In fact, I shared that out at our office. Um, when we packaged the gnome one, we learned that everybody was allergic to wool. So, Arta, what I would do is I would go watch Rosa Rojas' show or it's Applique is her product, and it's a completely different process. But I would not want this any raw edge. I would want it finished edge. It's too elegant of a project for me to have raw edge cotton. Okay, panic. I know. No, Susan, no. My granddaughter's in cheer, and apparently there's something that they say all the time, and they go, "Trust the process." And there was a really funny thing on Facebook where it's called Cheer Mom, and she goes, "What's trust the process? What's that mean?" So, anyways, Lilo was at QuiltCon and caught up with some really interesting people, and one in particular, I'm going to slaughter your last name, Caitlin. I'm going to slaughter it. Please forgive me, but it's Caitlin Escavillas, and we know about charity quilts, we know about Linus Project, we know about um, things like the quilts of honor, and all that stuff. She's doing something a little bit different, and it is touching the hearts of people way less fortunate than us. And Lilo went and heard her lecture and was really struck by it. And it's kind of like this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Well, yes, this is this particular person, Caitlin. And it's a really great interview. I'm going to see if I can pull up her face because she's so cute. That's the thing I screwed up earlier, right? Where are you? There we go. Look at this sweet face. And she is that sweet. She really, truly is. What she's doing is remarkable. So we caught, and it's little, it's just little, and it's so big and so profound. So I invite you to join me on Wednesday. It's also a perfect I am checking the forum, okay? And it's a perfect time for you to email me as you get into this what we're doing now, and I can answer questions on Wednesday too. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. Okay, there's more comments. Panic. I just have to. Can you use polyester felt? I don't know. What I would do is I would go to Michael's or wherever. I mean, Joann's is close in our neighborhood and get two little pieces and sew them together. I have no idea. But again, you don't need a hoop when you're working with this stuff. Put your progress on wishes in the form. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we want that. We do want that. So, it's not going to be so hot today. Whew, it was this weekend. And I look forward to seeing what we're going to do as a group. We are going to stitch our little hearts out. And if you think you're not happy with what you have to do, wait till Monday. I'm just saying. And then we're cut loose. I shouldn't have just said that. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it. This project is so cute. We do have patterns left. What? And if you just ordered your kit, man, you got in under the wire. Okay. See you Wednesday. And thanks for choosing to spend your time with me. I really appreciate it. Bye bye.